Hi Year 2, we've got another maths lesson for you now, so let's kick off with some fluency. So the last few days we've been practicing how to count in our threes, and after that first day we had the challenge of remembering these first 4 or 5 numbers in our sequence, and then the day after that we had to remember 3 more, and then the day after that we had to remember 3 more. So your challenge after today is going to be, can you remember our last 2? So let's have a look at what we can remember. Starting from 0 then, what would the next numbers be in our sequences of 3? So let's go. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Well done if you managed to remember all of those. It's definitely getting very tricky now. So let's have a think. After 30 then, we would want 3 more than 30. 1, 2, 3. So that means that our next number in the sequence would be 33. Well done. And then 3 more again. 1, 2, 3 would mean that our final number in our sequence of counting in threes would be 36. So having a look then at all the numbers on our number line, counting in threes from 0. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. Super, well done. Right, I'm going to go a bit more slowly today and cover up to 12. So now let's see if we can remember the first 5 numbers in our sequence. So 3, 2, 1, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. Okay, this time I'm going to cover up the next 3 numbers in our sequence. And we're going to say the sequence again. So let's go. 3, 2, 1, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Well done, fantastic. And I think you know what's coming now. I'm going to cover up the next 3. And we're going to go again from 0. So 1, 2, 3, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Super, well done. So this time I'm going to cover up the next one and we're going to do it again. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33. And then our last one is going to be covered up and we're going to try and do the whole of our sequence without looking at any of our numbers. So get yourselves ready. This is very tricky. 1, 2, 3, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. Well done. Some really, really tricky stuff. Okay then, let's make a start with our maths lesson for today then. So today what we're doing is we are learning about solving those expressions. So we're going to be adding an equal sign and working out what our total is from our expression. But before we do that, I want to recap some of the things that we've been learning in the last few sessions. So I've got a question here that I'd like you to have a look at, and it is true or false. There are 3 groups of 4. We can write this as 3 multiplied by 4. Remember, our multiplication symbol is our maths code for groups of. So 3 groups of 4. So is this representation showing us 3 groups of 4? Well, let's break it down. It's saying that I should have 3 groups. Is that true? 1, 2, 3. That part is true. I do have 3 groups. So then the other part of that statement is saying that we've got 3 groups of 4. That should mean then that in each group that I have, there should be 4 objects. Is that true? Super. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh dear. We know that when we do multiplication, we know that our groups must be equal. That's right, they must be equal. So if I've got one group with 4 and one group with 5, then I don't have 3 groups of 4 because all my groups should be equal. So I can say that this is false because I don't have 3 equal groups of 4. Super. So let's practice some counting then. We're going to practice counting in our 2s. So at the moment, I've got no groups of 2. So that means that all together, I've got nothing at all. But now, I've got one group of 2 here. I've got one group of 2. So all together, I've got 2 shoes. If I add another group of 2, you can see that all together I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shoes. And we would show that by counting in our 2s. So I would say that I've got 0, 2, 4 shoes all together. If I add another group of shoes, so I've got another group of 2 shoes, I would say that I've now got 6 shoes all together. So what I'm saying is that 3 groups of 2 shoes equals 6 shoes all together. Let's see if you can work out, if I add another group of 2 shoes, how many shoes would I then have all together? Well, then this is where you might be thinking, well, I know that if I count in my 2s, it goes 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's right. So if I add 4 groups of 2 shoes, I would have 8 shoes all together. And you can see that, and you can check it by counting the shoes individually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But to save ourselves a little bit of time and try and be a little bit more efficient, that means not wasting time, then we can count in our 2s. Just like we would on the number line with the 3s, we would jump up in our jumps of 2. So we would have 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. If I add another group of shoes, how many shoes would I have all together then? That's right, I'd have 10. So remember, we're just using our sequence of 2s to help us here. What about if I added another group so that this time I would have 6 groups of 2? I would then have 12 shoes all together. Well done. And what about if I added another group of 2? I would then have 14. Well done. And what about if I added another group of 2? That's right, I would have 16. And then another group of 2 after that would be 18. Super. And then 2 more again. 20. 2 more again. 22. And 2 more again, 24. Fantastic. So this should already be quite familiar to you from our counting in twos. But what you can see is that if I have one group of 2, and we know that we could write one group of 2 by saying 1 multiplied by 2, then we would have 2 shoes all together. And what this is showing us is that if I had 2 groups of 2, which we know we can write by saying 2 groups of 2, then our answer would be 4. And the same would carry on. So then if I had 4 groups of 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 2, which we would write by saying 4 groups of 2, then all together at this point we would have 8 shoes. So that's what we're going to be using today to help us. So before we carry on, let's just take this opportunity to practice our sequence of 2s. So starting from 0, counting in 2s, 1, 2, 3, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Fantastic. So going back to our shoe example then, if I was to write this in a bar model, then I would say that I've got 2 shoes here, I've got 2 shoes here, and I've got 2 shoes here. So all together, I've got 3 groups of 2 shoes. You can see that here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 3 fingers up on my hand, and those 3 fingers represent the 3 groups that you can see on the screen. So each finger represents one of those groups of shoes, the blue shoes, the green shoes, and the pink shoes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingers to do something called skip counting. And that means I'm going to skip in my 2s on each of my fingers. And when I've counted my last finger, I'm going to stop. So remember, if I had none, that would be nothing. So I start straight away from 2, 4, 6. So that means that I've got 6 shoes all together. Because what we did is we went 2, 4, 6. So in terms of writing that as an equation then, we would say 3 groups of 2 equals 6 shoes all together, where this 3 represents our 3 groups. You can see that here. 1, 2, 3. And the 2 represents the number of shoes I've got inside each of my groups. And you can see that there. What do you think this 6 represents then? The 6 represents the number of shoes that I have all together. So the 6 is being represented here by the number of shoes that I've got all together. And you can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when we write this as an equation, remember it's an equation now because I've got an equal sign. This number here would be called a factor. This number here would be called a factor. So just like if we do an addition, the 2 numbers on each side of the add sign would be called addends. The 2 numbers on each side of our multiplication symbol are called factors. And when I times my 2 factors together, I get something called a product. And the product just means the whole amount that we have all together. Lovely. But just like addition and subtraction and any other equation that I write, I can move my product to the beginning because all this equal symbol means is that it is the same as. So this means that 6 is the same as 3 groups of 2. So I've just moved my product to the front of my equation. But my actual expression here, 3 times 2, is still the same. 3 times 2. Let's have a look here then. I've got some bikes, and I've got bikes with 2 wheels. So you can see that there is 1 bike, 2 bikes, 3 bikes, 4 bikes. So each bike is its own group. So I've got 4 groups, and inside each group I've got 2 wheels. So I've got 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2, 4 groups of 2. And what I could do is I could say I've got 4 groups of 2. Just like we were doing yesterday, where our multiplication symbol means groups of. 4 multiplied by 2. 4 groups of 2. But this time what we can do is we can skip count in our 2's to work out how many wheels there are all together. So because it's not efficient, I'm not going to count each individual wheel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to count in my 2's 4 times. So I'm going to get 4 fingers to represent my 4 groups. So each of my fingers represents one of the bikes. And then I'm going to count in my 2's. I'm going to use the mouse as well. So 2, 4, 6, 8. And we can work out our product like that. But remember, it's an equation, and any equation can also have this product moved to the front. So I'm going to say that 8 is the same as 4 groups of 2. Why don't you pause the video here and have a go at writing a multiplication equation to represent this picture. Super, so let's go through it together and we'll see if you've got the same answer. So I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups here. I've got 5 groups of 2 sweets because each of my groups has got 2 sweets in them. So just like we did yesterday, I would say that I've got 5 groups of, by using our multiplication symbol, 5 groups of 2. But now we've also got to work out our product, our answer. So this means how many sweets we've got all together. Now we could count them all and see how many we've got all together, but that's not very efficient. That's a bit of a waste of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 5 fingers up, and my 5 fingers are showing me that I've got 5 groups. Can you see that here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for each one of my groups, I'm going to skip count in 2's. So let's do it together then. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that means that all together I've got 10 sweets. And remember, my equation can also have my answer moved to the front. So I'm putting my 10 at the front, but my expression here, 5 times 2, 5 groups of 2, is remaining the same. The only thing that's moving is our product. Well done. So now I've got some representations and some equations that need to be matched together. So this is showing me 4 groups of 2. So let's have a look at which representation is showing me 4 groups of 2. So this is showing me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 2. So it's not 4 groups of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Super. So it looks like this is showing me 4 groups of 2. But you might notice that we've got to work our product out here. So I've got 4 groups of 2. So that means I'm going to get 4 fingers up on my hand, and I'm going to skip count in 2's 4 times. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. So my product would be 8. And then here, then I've got 3 groups of 2. So which representation is showing me 3 groups of 2? Well, we already counted that this one was 6 groups of 2. So that must mean it's this one. 1, 2, 3 groups of 2. Super duper. But again, we've got our product missing here. So we need to get how many fingers up, do you think? That's right, I've got 3 groups. So I need to get 3 fingers to show that I've got 3 groups. And then I'm going to skip count in 2s. So 2, 4, 6. So then my product is 6. And then our final one here is 6 groups of 2. And that means I've got 6 groups, so I actually need to use 6 fingers. It's going to be a little bit tricky for me to use my mouse as well, so you might need to point at the screen as you do this, but I've got 6 fingers because I've got 6 groups here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I need to count in 2s 6 times. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that means my product is 12. I'll just skip this one for now and go straight onto some bar models. So a little bit like the shoe thing that we did near the beginning of this presentation, I've got some groups of 2 apples here. So I've got 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2, 4 groups of 2, 5 groups of 2, 6 groups of 2, 7 groups of 2, 8 groups of 2, 9 groups of 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is write 9 groups of 2 as an expression. Just like we did yesterday, I would write 9 groups of 2. But the difference today is that I'm actually working out the answer to my expression now, and I'm turning it into an equation, so I need an equal sign. And the way that we do that is by counting in our 2s 9 times. So then I would get 9 fingers to show that I've got 9 groups, and I would count in 2s from there for each of my apples. So you get your 9 fingers, and as you're counting on your 9 fingers, I'm going to point to the groups that we're counting as well. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Fantastic. So then my product, my total number of apples would be 18. And that's what goes on the whole of your bar model here, 18. But remember, I've got another line here, and that line is telling me that there is space for me to write this equation in a different way too. So that means that my product can move to the front, and I can say that 18 apples is the same as 9 groups of 2 apples. Why don't you pause the video and have a go at this? And what we're doing is we're counting the number of eyes on each child here. And then when you've had a go, we'll go through it together. Lovely, so you should have had a go at that by now. So let's go through the answers then. So I've got here 1 group of 2 eyes, 2 groups of 2 eyes, 3 groups of 2 eyes, 4 groups of 2 eyes, 5 groups of 2 eyes, 6 groups of 2 eyes. So as an expression, that would look like this: 6 groups of 2. But now we need to turn that into an equation by adding in our equal sign and actually working out the answer to 6 times 2, or 6 groups of 2. And we do that by getting our 6 fingers to show that we've got 6 groups. And then we count in 2s 6 times. So you get your 6 fingers and follow along as I point to each of our groups. So starting at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So then our product, our total number of eyes would be 12 eyes altogether. And that's what I write here. But remember, we can also write this in a different way by moving our product to the front of our equation here. So we've got 12 is the same as 6 groups of 2. Well done, Year 2. If you're keeping up, it's really tricky stuff, so you should be really proud of yourself. So all we've done here is remove those pictures of the groups. This is still representing one group of 2. This is still representing one group of 2. This is still representing one group of 2. So I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 groups of 2. And we're going to turn that into an equation and work out the total, the product, by counting in 2s 8 times. So get your 8 fingers up to show your 8 groups and get ready to skip count along with me. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So that means our product is 16. And we would write that here on the top of our bar model there. And then I could also write it by moving our product to the beginning. So I've got 16 is the same as 8 groups of 2. Why don't you have a go at this one? A little bit tricky because we've got lots and lots of groups of 2 there, and then we'll go through it together. Fantastic. So let's have a look then. All of these represent groups of 2. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 groups of 2. And I would write that as an expression by saying that I've got 12 groups of 2. And then we're going to turn that into an equation and work out our product. So we're going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. And then don't forget, it goes in the top of your bar model. And we can also rearrange the way that that equation is written down here by moving our product to the front and saying that 24 is the same as 12 times 2, or 12 groups of 2. Excellent, well done. So now it's your turn to have a go. Remember, you don't have to do all of these worksheets that are coming up. All you have to do is choose 2 at the level that you're working at. So this is the circle sheet to start off with, and we've got no groups of 2 here, so we would write no groups of 2. How many shoes do I have altogether here? None, that's correct. And this time, I've got 1 group of 2, so you can see that I've got 1 group of 2, so altogether I've got 2 shoes. And then here I've got 2 groups of 2, and I would write that here by saying 2 groups of 2, and then all together I've got 4 shoes. So then you just need to finish off this sheet by writing in your total number of shoes on the green and the number of groups that you've got on the blue. And in the semicircle sheet, we've got a representation. We've got written on there for you the number of groups to start with. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 2. So 4 groups of 2 equals, well, 2, 4, 6, 8. It equals 8. So I would write that by saying 4 groups of 2, Daisy, equals 8. So that's the semicircle sheet for you. The triangle sheet then, oh dear, I'm going to have to upload it onto here for you and just come back to it at the end of the video. But basically it's the same as the semicircle sheet, but there is also space for you. It should say down here something, I'll just pause the video and change it for you to show you what it should be. There you go, sorry, I've changed it all for you. So there should be a space on the sheet for you to fill in what the total number is. So 3 groups of 2 equals, well, that means we've got 3 groups. So I need to count in my 2's 3 times. So I would go 2, 4, 6. So 3 groups of 2 equals 6. And I would write that by saying 3 groups of 2 equals 6. But also by moving my product to the front by saying that 6 is the same as 3 groups of 2. There's the triangle sheet for you. And then the square sheet is just taking you straight to those bar models. So this is a group of 2, 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 and then your product goes in the bar at the top. So we've got 4 groups, so we have our 4 fingers, and we skip counting our 2's 4 times. So we go 2, 4, 6, 8, and then we write that in the product place at the top. And then the Pentagon sheet is another example of bar models without the pictures. So you've got to write your totals in the top bar, and then you've got to fill in the missing parts of your equations as well. Well done, everyone. It's getting harder and harder now the further we get into this multiplication unit, but you're doing a really good job, and I can tell that by all the super work that you're sending in. So keep up the hard work, Year 2. You're doing amazingly at home, and hopefully we'll see you soon enough. Bye.